Hello, how are you all? I hope you're all doing well. I think we have enough people on, so I'm just going to start now. Okay, favorite daughter. Thanks for your response. Anybody else here? I don't want to feel like I'm the only person here. So far, it's like only favorite daughter is responding. Can anybody else also at least let me know how they are faring? And yes, if you have any questions, I want you to reserve them for now. I want to start by just explaining the new reforms. I've already gone over them like when they came on when they were released on I think 22nd January. Yeah, but on the 5th, that was 2 days ago, they came with more specific, with more details, timelines, and all of that. So I'm just going to be going over all of those ones today. And for the meantime, you can also share the link for others to also join. So the plan today is I'm going to go over all of the new policies. So there are four in total, four broad topics. So I'll just explain it. And then if you have any questions, I'll give you the chance to also ask your questions. I do get a lot of people in my DMs asking me questions all about these new policies. So, yes. So today's session is basically about the international student program and the reforms that were recently introduced. So if you've been following me for a while, you already know that there has been a cap. It actually started last year, December, when they increased the amount needed for proof of funds. Used to be $10,000, and then they increased it to 20,000. And it didn't end there. You no longer need just 20,000. You also need um, enough funds to cover for your transportation and 1 year tuition fees. So that was the change that came in December 2023. But some of us already knew there were more coming because the problems had started a long time ago. And there had been a lot going on here, people not being able to afford rent, especially international students, considering the fact that they weren't able to work as much, they weren't able to afford rent. Some were complaining about finding jobs because there were too many international students in the system that they weren't able to find jobs. And one contributing factor was also for the fact that before, international students were only allowed to work 20 hours. But since last year, they were allowed to work full time. That's 40 hours or more. So in a place where they would normally need two people to do the 40 hours, now one person can do the job. That means they cannot employ as many international students as they used to, which also contributed to this whole issue of international students having problems with the system. So when you are outside, you hear of Canada, coming to school in Canada, and all you think is, oh, it's amazing. It's like heaven. When you come, you are going to get jobs, you'll be able to work and pay your tuition fees and take care of yourself and all of that. But people come here and they realize it was directly the opposite. That wasn't happening. So because of that, some international students started demonstrating, and that created a lot of problems. And that is the reason why the government had to come in and try and address it. And there were also some schools, especially the private schools, more like duping the international students, taking money off them, but not providing them what they are paying for, the quality of education that they were paying for. There is one reason why all these reforms are more like targeted towards international, towards private schools. So if you have a admission already and it's a private school, like I said before, I would recommend that you call the school or you contact the school through email or whatever and try and know your stance. If it is a private school or a private public partnership, you may want to contact the school so that you know what is going to happen to you. So now I'll go into the new changes. I'll start with so the first change is the cap. So according to IRCC, for the next 2 years, they are going to cap the study permit visas that they issue. This means they won't be issuing study permits to as many students as they used to. So for this year alone, they are cutting it down by 35%, which means, okay, and also there are other provinces which have a lot of international students, like Ontario. Ontario is more like everybody's destination. So these places have now been the places where they are going to cut them down even more because it's more like international students there are already populated. So now they would rather send more students to other provinces which already doesn't have as much international students. So every province is going to see a cut, but some provinces are going to suffer more than others. And they also introduced the fact that now if you are applying for a study permit, as of January 22nd, if you are applying for a study permit, you need to provide an attestation letter from the province where you are going to school. So the idea behind this is for the province to be able to account for the people coming in. Like I said, they are trying to cut down on people coming in the first place, and every province is going to get a number, like number of slots that they can issue out, they can admit students. So that means the provinces have to know exact number of people coming into the province. That is why they have to issue attestation letters. So if the province give you an attestation letter, they know, okay, you are coming in, then they can account for you. So at the end of the day, they know how many attestation letters they issued, and that is what they are going to work with. So that is the first thing. So people who need a provincial attestation letter, according to IRCC, are most post-secondary study permit applicants. So those who are exempted are primary and secondary school students or master's and doctorate degree students. Unless you are coming for a visiting or you are an exchange visiting or exchange student, then you also don't need an attestation letter. Mhm. And yeah, if you are also already in Canada schooling and you want to renew your work permit or your study permit, you are also not affected. So all these policies are only affecting new people, not people who are already in. So if you're already a student, you don't have any issues with these new policies. But if you now have admission or you are now planning on coming, that is when these reforms affect you. So the second change is the PGWP, that's the postgraduate work permit. So with that, this is actually a good news. Before, the postgraduate work permit was issued to um, almost every student, almost every international student. And this is how it used to work. It was how many years you get was based on your duration of schooling. So if you school for like 1 year, you only get 1 year work permit. But if you schooled for more than 1 year, that's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever, you get the extended PGWP, which is 3 years. So with this new change, if you come to do a master's program in Canada, even if it's only for 1 year, you still get 3 years work permit. This is the good news that's attached to it, because master students are seen to be more like they can easily adapt to the labor market in Canada. If you come and do masters or PhD, then they assume you are more like someone they desire that you're going to succeed in the country. So yes, you get a 3 year work permit, even though you only school for 1 year. But if you do a degree program of a degree or whatever, any other program doesn't get this. This is only for masters. So let's say you come in for a postgraduate diploma for 1 year, you still don't get it because postgraduate diploma isn't a master's program. But if you do a master's program of 2 years, with or without this new change, you already get 3 years work permit. So you don't necessarily have to be added to this. So this is just for people doing masters for just 1 year. And the third one is the postgraduate work permit for public private partnership college programs. Like I said before, if you are coming to a private school, if you gain admission in a private school, you will not qualify for postgraduate work permit. Before, the only reason private schools were getting it was because they were in partnership with public colleges. So as a result, they get to have so if you graduate from that private school, you'll still graduate with a certificate from the public school. So you are seen as a student from that public school. And as a result, you get the postgraduate work permit. But now, because the private schools are being used more to, should I say, more like take too much money from the private schools. I don't want to use the word scam because they are not really scamming them, but the private schools are taking too many students, taking too much money, and this is what they want to control. So as a result, private schools have been cut from the postgraduate work permit program. It doesn't mean you cannot come to a private school. You still can come to a private school, but you won't get a postgraduate work permit after school. So when you're done with school, your options are either you apply to another school or you have to leave. Those are your options. So per these new timelines, if international students currently enrolled will remain eligible for a postgraduate work permit if they meet other eligibility criteria. So this means if you are already in a private public partnership college, you still are eligible. Like I said, these policies are only for people who are now coming in. So if you are now coming in, like the next academic term is May. If you are coming for a May or starting in April or whatever, you will not get a postgraduate work permit. I got someone in my DM asking me about that yesterday. So if you are in his shoes, it means you have to contact your school and talk about your options. There is a high chance they will refund you. There are I know a few schools who have already started contacting their students about this and giving them their options. So I am sure that they will definitely give you um, a refund if you want to stop with this whole thing. I mean, we all know the one main reason why people would want to come and school in Canada is so that they will be able to stay, even though that isn't what you have to tell IRCC. You do have to tell IRCC that you will leave after school, but then we all know you want to stay. So it doesn't make sense for you to come to school in a private school if you won't be able to stay afterwards, especially when they are taking that much money from you. I don't think it's worth it. But well, everybody has their own options or and choices, so you can make that choice yourself. So the next thing is with changes to open work permit eligibility for spouses. This is also a big one because previously, if you are coming in as an international student, you were able to come in with your dependents, and then your spouse gets an open work permit. So, and that was actually very good for most international students because whilst they are schooling, their spouse is able to work and support them with their rent and even tuition fees. And that was actually very, very helpful. But now it's been cut off. Like I said, these whole reforms is just so they can curb the problems that existed before. They are just trying to, it's more like we have too many international students in the system that it's become unsustainable. Rent is going high, expenses are going high, everything is going high. So they are just trying to cut it down, not stop people from coming, but reduce the number of people coming in. And in the next 2 years, if it's reached a point where they are able to sustain it, where people are now able to get jobs, get rent is cheaper, everything has gone back to normal, I am sure they are going to go back to maybe increase it a bit, not completely admit like everybody, but then they will increase it a bit. That's what I think. So this one is more like cutting off spouses of people who are coming to do undergrad or post-secondary programs. So the only way your spouse gets to qualify for an open work permit now is if you are coming for a master's or a PhD or doctorate program. These are mentioned specifically. They specifically say you have to eligibility is limited to the spouses and common law partners of students in graduate into bracket masters and doctorate. They are very specific, masters and doctorate. So even if you come in for a postgraduate diploma, that is not masters, neither is it doctorate, so you don't qualify. And professional degree granting programs. So professional degree granting programs include, like if you're coming to do medicine, that's a professional degree. It's not master's, it's not PhD, but it's a professional degree. So yes, you can also bring your spouse. And yeah, but once these changes are in effect, spouses and common law partners of international students seeking to extend their existing work permit will continue to be eligible under this stream. So, as I said previously, if you're already in the system, it doesn't affect you. So, if you are already a student, your spouse already has a work permit and is expiring, and you want them to renew it, that won't be a problem. This won't affect you. It's only affecting people who are now coming to Canada and who will not be eligible for an open work permit. That's the spouses and common law partners of international students in other levels of study, including undergraduate and college programs, will no longer be eligible for an open work permit unless they already hold an open work permit under this stream. So that's the whole exemption thing that I just read out. Yeah. So these are the changes that came on the 5th. That's 2 days ago. Yeah. I think I've already covered all the changes. So if any of you have any questions, you can let me know. You can type it in the comment section. I'll read it out and try to answer as best as I can. So anyone with any questions, I'm trying to go through the comment section to see if anyone has asked any question. Mm, so far, I don't really see any questions. Okay. So favorite daughter is asking, please, is there any post-secondary nursing course I can offer? Okay. So for nursing, um, we do have a PSW, that's personal support worker. We also have practical nursing, that is a diploma. So PSW is for 1 year, and we have practical nursing, which is for 2 years. That is a diploma. And we also have registered nursing RN. That is a degree, 4 years program. Yeah, and yes, we do have a lot of schools offering these programs. Um, I think you can just Google. If you Google, you will be able to find schools that are doing this program. And okay, since I am in Ontario, should I say I am more specialized in Ontario stuffs. So with Ontario, you can easily go to ontariocolleges.ca. If you go there, they give you all schools in Ontario that are offering the program you're looking for. So if you go to ontariocolleges.ca, for instance, you can just type in nursing or PSW or practical nursing, and they'll give you all schools in Ontario offering that program. If they are open for, let's say September is open for that program, you can apply. If let's say May is open, you can apply. So they put all of those ones there, and it makes it easier for you to apply. And as an international student, they will direct you to the international student portal so that you'll be able to apply for the program there. It's quite easy so far as you meet the academic requirements. um, you should be able to get into a PSW program. Practical nursing rather is very, very competitive. I have to let you know. Both practical nursing and registered nursing, that's the diploma and the degree, they are very, very competitive. So if you plan on taking any such program, it's better you apply very early. I hope I've answered your questions well, favorite daughter. Any more questions? Okay, you are welcome, favorite daughter. Anyone else have any more questions? I think I can stay for a few more minutes to answer any questions you may have. If there are no more questions, then I would leave. I would have to go offline. Okay, and thank you all for joining me today. And since this is my first, I'm sure we are going to be having a lot more of this. And yep, thank you all for joining me here. And I hope you all follow me. And see you next time.